They do it in this one, I thought, ooh, you. Guys, they're Gringo Scott. Today we are reviewing the 2018 movie Rampage. It's the Rampage with The Rock, not the 1986 video game by Bally Midway, which this movie is based off of. Speaking of the 1986 video game Rampage by Bally Midway, let's take a look at that first. There are several characters you could be. You could be George, gorilla transformed from human to a gorilla from experimental vitamin, a giant gorilla. Then you had Lizzie, a dinosaur-like creature lizard transformed by a radioactive lake. Then we had Ralph, the giant wolf transformed by a food additive. You could have up to 3 players each, and the goal was to destroy the cities before the humans could destroy you. And that was the basic video game, and it was really fun. Let's dive into this movie, shall we? George, a gorilla, a white gorilla who's friends with The Rock, who's a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL. Obviously speaks sign language, just taught this gorilla sign language. So that's how it starts off. But then this evil corporation has this drug. Somehow the gorilla gets the drug on accident. So does the wolf. So does the lizard, or alligator, I guess in this case. They transform to monstrous size, and they proceed to wreak havoc to the city. Doom, 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 doom. Corporation just wants profit and money, and they're like, we are greedy, how can we get out of this and still make profit? Nah. Unfortunately for them, did this to The Rock's friend, the gorilla. So yeah, that's the big summary of this one. For me, would be the theme of family. Family is important. Family can be friends too, people who become your family, but they weren't really friends, but they got closer and you can call them friends. Family doesn't have to be your family of origin either. Some people don't have family of origins that's worth a lick. Why even bother with them? Make some friends, make a community, be family with them, obviously. I think a good family also be really supportive and loving. That made me think of this as well. There's a guy that has a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is called SBSK, stands for Special Books or Special Friends. He basically gives voice to people who are disabled. He was a special ed teacher in the classroom of kids with disabilities, kids in wheelchairs, etc., etc., etc. And he would show scenes from his classroom. One thing I saw that he said he did, and he saw this he created a community of support and love. It started off with him just every Tuesday for like maybe 15 minutes, having a kid come up, and he'd sit in a chair and he'd say, hey, you're smart, you're a good soccer player, I like the way you did good on that test last week, blah, blah, blah. So then he takes off. And then a new kid comes up and he picks something about him, and he did all of them like that. He said at first it seemed kind of cheesy, like this is a cheesy thing to do, but he said what happened eventually, creating this environment where everyone was super supportive of everyone, and the kids started being supportive of each other too. There was no picking on each other. It was just everyone helping each other, because in this environment, we're family, we love each other, we're going to help each other succeed. There's no picking on, there's just helping. There's a theme in this movie that reminded me of that. It's like, dude, you back up your family. It may not be your family of origin, but you back them up, and you're supportive with them, and you're not critical, and you're kind, and you're loving. And this kind of made me think, am I doing that the best I can in my family? I think it's something I could work on. Our opinion on this movie, the bad, the classic oversimplified, super greedy, psycho corporate CEO guys.
At any cost, we'll make profit. We don't care what it does. We just want profit. Ha ha ha.
It's like they're on Captain America or something. I feel like they could make that a little bit more developed. And then we have the little annoyances, the guns, the classic Hollywood guns. Hollywood. Guns don't make, they don't have a bunch of loose pieces in them. They don't make the noise when you move them around. If you notice, guys, in Hollywood, it doesn't matter what movie, when they move the guns, they sound like they have something loose in them. They're like who thought of this? It drives me nuts. I hate it. They do it in this one too. Not horrible amount, but they do it in this one. I thought, ooh, you. The other thing, when they're fighting the monsters or whatever, they have to do the classic fly too close. Just like the guy with the gun, who's like, don't go any there, Dr. Jones. And he's coming right up to the guy, and he's saying, you can't stop me, blah, blah, blah. Now the guy's in striking range of be able to grab the gun or whatever. The classic misdirection, and then get the gun. Here's your problem, guys. It's a gun. You can use it from further away than they can reach you. So you say, stand 9 feet away, 6 feet away even, and you say, if you move, I'm going to shoot you. And then you have to follow through. So if they move, you shoot them. Don't let them keep getting closer and closer. And they do that. That's a classic thing they do in Hollywood. Look, I get why they do it, but it bugs. You know what it is, and I reviewed a movie, Absolutely Anything, where the guy was super powerful. He could do whatever he wanted. And the only way they could make it dumb is by making him dumb, because the powers aren't the problem. It's the user of the powers. That's what they have to do with guns too, because a gun's such an advantage over someone who doesn't have a gun that the only way you can make the gun not effective is you got to make the person wielding the gun dumb. So they make them dumb in order for the gun to be taken away. The good. The monsters. Some of the monsters were really cool CGI. Honestly, I felt like the monsters were actually in the scene. It didn't feel like they were out. You know, they like fit into the shadows of what you saw. I mean, the gorilla looked real a lot of times, so there's really good special effects. There's the scene with Ralph, which is the wolf. That's so good detail of how the helicopter's attacking him, what Ralph's doing and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, whoever made that really took the time and effort to think, what would it be like if a giant wolf attacked a helicopter? Like, what would be the detail? And they really put the detail into it. So I really appreciate the detail in the fighting scenes and the CGI in this movie. It's really well done. The people. Acting was really well done. Characters had decent backstories. They had some connections. They had reasons why they would be doing things. And they made me care what was going to happen to them. And they even put the effort to establish a good, decent emotional connection between The Rock and George, one of the monsters. So you could feel you have a reason to care. This movie's not a masterpiece, don't get me wrong, but for this type of movie, I really cared for the humans. A lot of times I could care less about the humans in these movies. I'm like, this is get the monsters fight, who cares, you're in the way. But this one, I was like, this is a fun movie, and you know, I actually kind of care what happens to The Rock and to his friends and stuff like that, because they made that connection. Lastly, good fights with The Rock. Like when he's fighting people, it's pretty realistic and fun too, and some really funny one-liners for the movie. This movie honestly has no real things I want to complain about. They're nitpicky things. It was a really good movie, really good CGI, like I said, good connection between the monsters and the humans. It was a movie with some heart. I even caught myself getting a little teary-eyed at the end. So guys, I really enjoyed this movie. But without further ado, I'm going to give the 2018 Rampage with The Rock an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Hey, yeah, boy.